right now on 5 on your side at 10.
The rain has settled down and tomorrow is looking dry and beautiful. What we're going to see, though, for the rest of the week.
Mass confusion during a mass shooting. The scathing new report on the deadly attack at a Texas school. Gas station clerks attacked and robbed during a crime spree in St. Charles. Tonight we're hearing from the customer who intervened.
In my head, I know I did the right thing.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Bush, and Allred has the night off. Tonight we hear from a man many are calling a hero, the witness who police say foiled an armed robbery in St. Charles by shooting and killing the suspect. Earlier today, he sat down exclusively with 5 on your side's Pepper Baker to talk about the moments leading up to the shooting. He asked us to protect his identity because he now fears for his own safety. Pepper?
Mike, yes, most people would try to run away from a robbery situation, but one customer felt called to run towards it. His courageous effort ended in a deadly shooting, which possibly saved more lives than the one lost.
Taking somebody's life is not an everyday thing. Neither is saving somebody's life.
Thoughts that now consume one St. Louis man's mind who not only witnessed an armed robbery Saturday morning at a St. Charles Quick Trip, but also stepped in to stop it.
He grabbed a backpack and ran inside, looking for, I guess, the clerk. I saw him grab her and drag her to the front, to the counter. Something wasn't right when I saw that, so me being a concealed carry, I had my gun on me, and I just waited.
The customer saw it all unfold from his car parked in front of the QT on First Capitol Drive.
But I walked up to the door, and I saw him wielding a knife to her throat. She was emptying out the cash register, and I took a step in and peeked my head in and asked if everything was okay. I couldn't see his face, but he was saying yes, but I could see her face, and she was saying no. She was scared.
Police named the robbery suspect as 26-year-old Lance Bush from St. Louis City.
I pulled my gun up, and I asked him, "Are you sure everything is okay?" And that's when the suspect said, "No, it's not okay, but I got something for you." He grabbed his bag, ran from around the counter, and started running towards me, and that's when I fired shots.
He recalls shooting 4 times before Bush fell to the floor. Shortly after he told the clerk to call the police, he did as well.
I don't think I honestly had a choice. He already had a knife at her throat. He could have pulled out something bigger than what I had, and you would have had 2 people dead instead of 1.
His previous experience training with guns and handling emergency situations made him feel compelled to step in when other customers ran away.
Instinct, I would say. Instinct, that's just it. I guess knowing that I'm protected and I can protect somebody else, it's just like, I should be okay.
He stayed at the scene when police arrived to find Bush shot. Bush was transported to the hospital and died.
Every time you second guess if you have to take a life, but you also have to think, is it for the greater good? And my answer is yes.
Police believe Bush is tied to 2 other armed robberies that happened within the hour earlier that morning. They found the black SUV he was driving was stolen from Maryland Heights on Friday. The customer was detained and released. At this time, he says he has not been charged.
Pepper, thanks. A bystander also shot and killed a gunman in Indiana. Eyewitnesses say the gunman walked into a mall food court with a rifle and started shooting. He killed 3 people, injured 2 others before the armed civilian killed him. This all happened in the city of Greenwood, south of Indianapolis. A 12-year-old girl is among the injured. A new report is highly critical of law enforcement.
The school's 5-foot fence was inadequate. Despite a policy of locked doors, there was a regrettable culture of non-compliance. In fact, all 3 exterior doors to the building were unlocked that day, and multiple interior doors were not secured.
76 law officers rushed to Robb Elementary School. It found systemic failures created a chaotic scene that lasted more than an hour before the gunman was finally confronted and killed. The report also found fault with the school. This is the first report to criticize both state and federal law officers. Following the report's release, the officer who was Uvalde's acting police chief during the massacre was placed on administrative leave. Opening statements tomorrow in the trial of a man accused of killing former St. Louis Police Captain David Dorn. 26-year-old Stefan Cannon is charged with first-degree murder. Dorn was shot to death outside a St. Louis pawn shop in 2020 during a night of unrest following George Floyd's death in Minneapolis. He was protecting the store from looters. Dorn served with the St. Louis Police Department for almost 40 years, then spent nearly 6 years as the chief of Moline Acres. It's been 17 years since a Florissant soldier died while serving in Iraq. Time has done little to ease her family's pain. The Army-ruled Private First Class Lavina Johnson died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Her family disagrees, saying she was raped and murdered. Supporters gathered in Florissant today for a balloon release to remember Lavina.
This could very well happen to you, your daughter, or your son.
Lavina Johnson was 19 years old when she died. There is a change.org petition calling for investigators to reopen the case. Right now, it has more than 336,000 signatures. The second most powerful position in St. Louis is up for grabs. Voters will decide between Alderman Jack Coder and Megan Green in a special election for the president of the Board of Aldermen in this September. Coder and Green threw their hats into the ring to fill the void left in the wake of a federal bribery scandal that brought down Lewis Reed. Our political editor Mark Maxwell previews how corruption and conflicts of interest could play a major role in this race. Mark?
Mike, candidates running for the Board of Aldermen president are likely to run against or run from that cloud of corruption hovering over the position and the office they hope to fill. Federal prosecutors brought those charges and stunned St. Louis when they accused the former Board of Aldermen president and 2 aldermen of taking cash bribes in exchange for using their government positions to give tax breaks to developers. But what happens if a politician takes money from a developer to promote them getting a tax break and it's all legal?
People's trust and confidence in city government's been shattered.
Attorney Jack Coder and educator Megan Green say City Hall needs an ethics tune-up.
I have been on the forefront of this issue since nearly as soon as I got elected.
Green supported ethics reform banning conflicts of interest in the popular Prop R. Coder opposed it and even now signed on to a lawsuit to try and block it.
He represents a law firm that represents many clients who have interests in front of the Board of Aldermen.
I take conflicts and I take my reputation as a member of the bar and a member of this community very seriously.
Emails obtained by 5 on Your Side show Coder used his law firm's email account to seek an audience with the former mayor's office in 2020 on behalf of his law firm's client, Cullinan Properties, asking to discuss incentive requests to apply for tax breaks. The deal would have spent $60.6 million in taxpayer funds to build onto a $335 million project here, enhancing this prime real estate with a public parking garage, upgrades to roads and intersections, and other infrastructure to help people access the site's stores, restaurants, offices, luxury apartments, and a hotel. The same emails show Coder later arranged a meeting with the mayor and Cullinan's vice president of development in the mayor's office.
Is there anything you think improper about arranging a meeting with one of your clients with the mayor while you're...
I don't think so. I mean, if I have clients that I represent that have business in front of the city, if I'm just simply setting up a meeting, I don't see any issue there.
Coder's work very nearly paid off. The deal was lined up when COVID hit. Then, with little explanation, it was off. He never voted on it and says if it came before the Board of Aldermen, he would have abstained.
Why maintain employment at a law firm, or why be president of the Board of Aldermen if you're going to have to abstain on so many votes?
If you were to win the election, would you consider stepping aside from your private law firm?
Yeah, we'll look at that. I mean, if we're successful in this election, I'll have to take a look at what the workload entails and whether or not it makes sense to continue in private practice.
You elect me, you know you're getting a Board of Aldermen president that does not have these rampant conflicts of interest.
Good luck to her. I can tell you that I'm going to run a campaign talking about the issues, talking about city services, talking about public safety, which is first and foremost on people's minds, and I'm going to enjoy a broad coalition of support from both North and South St. Louis.
Alderman Coder says he was careful never to cross that line. There is no evidence we've found that shows he ever used his official government position to advance the interest of his clients. But Green says an example like this raises further questions about who wins in those tax break deals. Developers themselves, big business, or the city at large? Watch for Coder to hit back and say that Green has voted against some of the most successful tax break deals that have brought big jobs to St. Louis. That election could drag on into November in the general election. Live downtown, Mark Maxwell, 5 on Your Side.
Live look now at Busch Stadium. This afternoon's game against the Cincinnati Reds postponed due to rain. It'll be made up on September 17th. We needed the rain, but it looks like the rain has moved on and the heat is returning. Tracy's in for Scott tonight.
Yeah, it really is. You know, I was just texting back and forth with Scott. Scott is always on the clock. Even if he's not here, he's always on the clock. He was telling me about some dense fog that was forming just behind his house. So you might come across some of that dense fog. It just is going to depend on where you are. If you're in a low-lying area or somewhere that's along, you know, one of the rivers or waterways, you're definitely going to come across that. Now, my friends in Perry counties, both Perry counties that is, St. Genevieve, Randolph, and St. Francis counties, you had quite a bit of rainfall that moved through tonight. It was fairly active. That is still kind of just stalling and getting out of the way of Perry County, and then it'll clear out as we head into the rest of the evening. Coming up, I'm going to outline that hot streak that's in our forecast, how long it's going to last, and what temperatures we'll get up to.
Coming up, celebrations planned at train stations across Missouri tomorrow. Why it's about to get a whole lot easier to get from St. Louis to Kansas City. Plus, Skittles under scrutiny. The lawsuit alleging they're not safe to eat and the candy maker's response. They have the talent, now they're getting the chance to shine. The dance company making a difference in the lives of children of all abilities.
Starting tomorrow, Amtrak will increase service in Missouri with 2 daily round trips from St. Louis and Kansas City. The Missouri River Runner will once again offer morning and afternoon departures from both cities. Amtrak cut back to 1 daily round trip in January after federal relief funds ran out. The General Assembly approved $13 million in funding to restore service. The Missouri River Runner makes stops in Kirkwood, Washington, Herman, Jefferson City, Sedalia, Warrensburg, Lee Summit, and Independence, and celebrations are planned along the route. A group of local dancers and cheerleaders have been working hard getting ready to perform at a big festival in Forest Park this coming weekend. And next year, they'll perform on a national stage. As you'll learn in tonight's Making a Difference report, they always had the talent, but a local woman made sure they had the chance to dance.
Ready? Okay. Red. White.
If you don't jump, you can't fly.
Right. Left.
And these kids are soaring
W-I-N.
while kicking down barriers.
And kick.
Welcome to a practice of the Without Limits Dance Company,
3 more.
which gives kids with disabilities the chance to dance and cheer.
7, 8. Yeah.
These kids deserve the chance to be treated just like anybody else.
Katie Hassel started the program with her husband back in 2017 with just a few kids.
I'm a special ed teacher, and I had a couple of parents that said that their kiddos weren't doing great in typical dance classes.
Go, fight, win.
Now, with the help of volunteers, she's helping more than 36 students sparkle.
We have kids from that have ADHD to cerebral palsy to Down syndrome to autism.
17-year-old Melissa Cruz says when you have a disability like autism, you can feel lonely even when you're not alone.
5, 6, 7, and up.
I would never show my true self at school, but here I feel that I can show my true self.
Red, white.
And more than any tumbles or flips, Melissa says it's the friendships that have changed her life.
Go, fight, win.
Kennedy Elby agrees.
I'm friends with Melissa, Alyssa, Kaylee, and all of them.
She now has a place that she feels safe, she feels comfortable, she could be herself.
Kennedy's mom, Lisa, is the company's cheer coach.
Okay.
And next year, they've been invited to be one of just 5 U.S. teams to cheer at the Special Olympics World Games, with thousands watching.
Don't you get nervous?
Well, for me, here's what I do. So backstage, I get very nervous, but then once I hit that stage, I go for it.
And 1, 2.
Every star shines a little differently.
We're gonna go 5, 6, 7, 8. Ready?
And for these kids, Katie Hassel was the perfect dance partner.
Wow! Yeah! You guys are rocking it!
What makes her special?
She's kind, she's sweet,
She loves me.
I love you, Miss Kate.
I love you too, baby.
Without Limits Dance Company,
Let's go in.
helping kids with abilities to never lose their good cheer.
All right, drop your hands. Arm up. And a great big bow.
This coming Saturday, Without Limits will be among the featured performers at Festability, a celebration of disability set for the Missouri History Museum in Forest Park, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more information, go to festability.org. And a reminder, if you know someone making a difference, let me know by email at mbush@ksdk.com. All right, we said earlier we needed the rain. Much of the St. Louis area got some rain, but now it looks like we're in for some dry time and some hot time this week.
Very dry and a very long stretch of dry weather. I have only been here for 3 years, but I can't think of a time when we had this long of a stretch. One thing I love about St. Louis weather is how dynamic it can be. This week it's going to be pretty steady on. Okay, this is kind of cool. It's not in our coverage area, but I figured I'd show it to you anyways. We have 826 strikes. This system really amped up as it passed out of Perry County there, making its way into Carbondale and Evansville. Just a very active storm cell there, something we don't always see with a lot of lightning out here. All right, our future cast, this continues to track out of the way. We'll just deal with mostly cloudy conditions overnight, very slow to clear out. Average today would be about 90 degrees. We hit 82. It was a bit of a pleasant treat for us to be a little bit cooler. 75 was our low today. 71 is the average low, so pretty close to that. The St. Louis airport did pick up about 3/4 of an inch of rainfall, which is good, but we're still behind. Just about 1.5 inches of rainfall is what we are behind now. That's better than the 2 inches it was at yesterday. 75 degrees in St. Louis, at 70 in Warrenton, 70 in Alton, and 72 at Scott Air Force Base. For tonight, we're going to be slow to clear out. 70 degrees is what we're going to drop down to. Winds will be out of the northeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then tomorrow in St. Louis, a very comfortable day. Enjoy it because, trust me, the rest of the 10-day forecast is not like this at all. Sunny conditions by 4 and 6 o'clock. We're going to be in the upper 80s, nice and sunny then. And then here's that 10-day forecast I was telling you about. 95 degrees on Tuesday, and then we're holding on to those 90s. And I don't even have a chance of rain on any of these days. It's looking very, very dry as we set up over the next 9 days, so not including Monday. Monday, we're looking at 88 degrees. After that, mid to upper 90s the whole time, and then of course it's St. Louis, so it's also going to be a little bit humid. We'll add about anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees on some of these days due to that humidity. Early morning and overnights on our hottest nights, we're only going to drop down to 80.
All right, Tracy, thanks. Coming up, monkeypox cases continue to climb. The House Select Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol riot expects to receive erased text messages from the Secret Service by Tuesday. The panel issued a subpoena last week after a Homeland Security official briefed the members about the Secret Service erasing text messages from January 5th and 6th. The committee is expected to make those messages part of their primetime hearing this week that will focus on the length of time it took former President Trump to urge his supporters to leave the Capitol after the riot began. Tonight, the number of monkeypox cases in the U.S. continues to rise. The CDC now reporting at least 1,814 probable or confirmed cases across the U.S. in 45 different states, including Missouri and Illinois. Dr. Anthony Fauci says the number of cases is likely higher due to new data still emerging. Monkeypox spreads through close physical contact, but we're also learning it can spread through touching contaminated surfaces, which puts everyone at risk of infection. Tensions are still high weeks after the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Brandon Lewis from our National Verified team looks into a viral claim that some states that are banning abortions are committing an international crime against humanity.
In June, the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, and some states began the process of restricting or banning access to abortions. In response, the ACLU and Washington Governor Jay Inslee framed the decisions as forced pregnancy, and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted that forced pregnancy is a crime against humanity. There are also many tweets like these claiming state abortion bans are essentially forced pregnancy, which is a crime against humanity in international law. So let's verify. Are state abortion bans considered forced pregnancy? an international crime against humanity? Our sources are the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, Amnesty International, and the United Nations. The international law against forced pregnancy is defined by the ICC, which prosecutes crimes against humanity. The ICC defines forced pregnancy as when there is large-scale violence used to systematically force people to become pregnant, such as in war. The ICC explicitly says this definition shall not in any way be interpreted as affecting national laws related to pregnancy. So, no, state abortion bans are not considered forced pregnancy, an international crime against humanity. The internationally recognized definition of forced pregnancy is narrow in scope in order to qualify as a crime against humanity. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
What would you like us to verify? Send an email to verify@ksdk.com. Coming up, millions of dollars up for grabs this week. The lottery jackpots that just keep growing. Are Skittles unsafe to eat? A new lawsuit says they are. A consumer in California sued candy maker Mars, claiming that Skittles are toxic. They allege that Skittles are made with a known toxin, titanium dioxide, that's unfit for human consumption. A Mars spokesperson said their use of titanium dioxide complies with FDA regulations. There's a chance to win big, and we mean big this week. Tuesday's Mega Millions jackpot is worth $500 million. If you choose the cash option, you'll get about $300 million. Also, you might want to keep your eyes on Monday's Powerball drawing. Right now, it's worth more than $80 million. It's National Ice Cream Day. Serendipity celebrated with the grand opening of its new shop in the Grove. The first 100 people to buy a pint got a free ice cream scooper. Several local ice cream shops celebrated today with raffles, deals, and giveaways. And there you have it. 5 on your side at 10. Now here's Frank Cusimano with Sports Plus.